challenging life can be, and how, our life choices will change immediately based off of the actions that we make and or fail to make. So this is also why I feel like having a foundation based on faith is going to help me make better decisions in life, which is why I feel that it's incredibly important for me to prioritize, going into the doctrine at this time, and in this time in my life, especially at this age, because I feel like I have 36 years of my life to live, and I have to do it with a strong faith belief, a strong faith and a belief system that doesn't allow me to doubt myself, or reminds me to forgive myself and to forgive others who I may or may not hold grudges against, because I think the power of eliminating everything based off of things that are entangled in anger or resistance is relief, and allows you to stream into more qualified lives, I guess. That sounds about right. So I'm really, really grateful to be able to say that today is a very special day, because obviously I'm attending a performance, but also because my placement in life right now has been very unraveling certain things in me that I never thought that I could potentially be shown or be freed to see. So I try not to hold on to too many things. I've had a lot of spontaneous things that have been coming up in my life, and part of growing up, I forgot my tissue, but part of growing up for me, I've recognized as a female independent woman, which I still strive to be. There's still a lot of responsibilities that I need to prioritize, and I talk about those in my last video as well. But part of becoming this woman that I am striving to become as a liberal, I feel that my belief system is ultimately what is driving me. So I have to remind myself, one, stay confident in your beliefs. And again, that's very broad to say, right? Because there are so many things that we can attempt to believe and to follow and to lead and to act and to pursue. So that's a very broad spectrum of everything that we need to kind of stream as an example. So I try to say to myself, take your time and trust in your divine time. I think I might have, maybe, when was it? In 2011, I want to say, I came up with the social media name Define Divine. And I remember I was going through the same process now that I recognize this. Mind you, I've had two best friends. The term best friend is so silly because it's pure. It's childish and very pure to your heart. But I've had two best friends, and they've both been, middle names are Guadalupe, both of them. So if that's not faith and God, and if you ask anybody, not a lot of people name their daughters Guadalupe. I know one of the girls embarrassed of her name, but I was like, that is like such a nice name to have, because obviously it's based off of like a very precious, you know, historical figure. So yes, my point to this is that faith, this cycle that I have been on, has always been similar and the same, and gravitating to my own story and gravitating, you know, to our own stories, and recognizing that there is power and strength in our own pillars, is extremely important. So let's see here. Where am I going with this? I had gotten really excited because I remembered, in 2011, I remembered that I was going through the same path. I was like, you know, trying to figure out my career prior to stepping into the educational institutions, and I was like being very rowdy about like philanthropic work and very passionate at that time, and I was very actively you know, attempting to fund for events, and I was just having the time of my life, like blindly. I was traveling and I was doing things that I think anyone in their early 20s would love to do. I remember, however, even in the truth of that story, of those experiences, there was a lot that I held that I was somewhat healing from. And to this day, I find myself, you know, attempting to build strength off of my truth. So in in 2011, I remember coming back and forth from Baja California is what we called it, because Tijuana sounded like more scarier, and I remember they said, we don't want to use the term Tijuana when we're speaking to Americans, because it won't inspire them or even allow them to gain our trust. So it's interesting, realistically, like there's a lot of terminology that's used between certain lines to be able to kind of make sure that connections are made and people are trusting. I remember that we weren't allowed, we learned that Tijuana was Baja California because Baja California sounded much safer. Rosarito is my little city in Mexico, or Baja California. Tijuana, whatever. It all sounds the same to me, right? It's safe. It's always been safe. So either way, we were coming back and forth, and we were just having such a great time. But you know, we were doing like very heavy work, and we were sitting with like hundreds of children who were abandoned and or just like rescued. And you know, I remember it's always like when you're doing something and you're passionate about it, everything changes. Like, you want to have as much control as you can. However, it's always like controlled by a different, you know, group of individuals that understand the historical timeline of growth. And respectfully, I can admit that I was wrong in some of the things that I might have said to, you know, to upset the founder at that time. I had gotten really passionate, and I had overstepped my boundaries, as I tend to do when I become passionate about something, whether it be at work or, you know, somewhere where I find that there is a very quick solution that could be fixed. However, not the whole stream of individuals find that it's easier to do X, Y, and Z, and it's like, well, that doesn't make sense, obviously. However, it's, I think, more complicating than I can understand.